All right, number 4. It's the last one in this unit. So last time we talked about arithmetic sequences, which is where you're adding or subtracting the same number each time. And today we're going to talk about geometric sequences. So a geometric sequence, if you remember, is a list of numbers where to get the next term, you multiply or divide by the same number. All right, and then common ratio, if you remember, was the word we used. By that number we're multiplying or dividing by. So the common ratio is the number we are multiplying or dividing by. So the explicit formula to figure out any term number looks like this. To get any term, you're going to take the 0th term and multiply it to the common ratio to the power of n. So here's why the formula works. Or actually, I'm going to label it first. So this was the 0th term. R was the common ratio. And n is just the term number we want. So, let's go to this example here. 2 to 6 to 18 to 54. To get to 6 from 2, you do 2 times 3. If you do not know this, if you think it's geometric, but you don't know what you're multiplying by, here's how you figure it out. You take the 6, the second number, and divide it by the 2, and you'd figure out that you're timesing by 3. So then you just check it. Is 6 times 3 18? Yep. Is 18 times 3 54? Yep. Right? So let's work our way through it. What is the first term? In this case, our first term was 2. Our common ratio we just found out was 3. So our R, in this case, is 3. The 0th term, to go backwards. If to go from here to here, I times by 3. To go backwards, I have to divide by 3. But here's the formula. To get the 0th term, you're going to take the first term and divide by your ratio. So in our case, the 0th term is 2 divided by 3. If I type 2 divided by 3 into the calculator, I'll get a decimal. And fractions are always better to use than decimals. So I'm going to keep it as a fraction. So what's my formula? My formula is to get any term, I'm going to take 2/3. I'm going to times it by 3 n times. So when an exponent is a letter, what the little n means is how many times you multiply 3. So if I, for example, want the 54th term, I'm going to take 2/3 and multiply it by 3 1, 2, 3, 4 times because that's the 4th term. An exponent tells you how many times to multiply a number to itself. So if I put a little 4 up there, that'd be 2/3 times 3, 4 times. Like you would times it by 3, 4 times. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And that's the equation, and that's why it works. Let's do a couple more examples. Example 2, a pond starts with about 10,000 bacteria in it. And each month, the number of bacteria cut in half. So if I start writing the first 7 sequences, we start with 10,000, and half is 5,000, and half is 2,500, and then in half is 1,250. Was that 1, 2, 3, 4? And then in half again is 750. No, that's a false. Did that in my head and I did it poorly. It's 625. All right. Oh, and that's only 5. And I said first 7. So let's keep going. It's $312.50. Let's see. And then if I cut that one in half, it's are the first 7 numbers in the sequence. So what was our first term? Our first term was 10,000. Common ratio, I'm dividing by 2. I'm cutting it in half. So dividing by 2 means 1 over 2. That's how we write divide by 2, because dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/2. So remember, to get the 0th term, we're going to take the first term and divide by the ratio. So to get the 0th term, we're going to take 10,000 and divide it by 1/2 in our calculator, and we get 20,000. So the formula is to get any term. You take your 0th term, which was 20,000. We're timesing it by half, however many n times. So to the power of n. And finally, for example 3, what does this formula mean? If a sub n equals 15 times 1/3 to the power of x, I used x, you could use x or n. I should have used n because I used an n here, so it should have been an n there, but I wasn't being consistent like I should have been. But what it means is that the 0th term is 15, and my common ratio is divide by 3. Because that's what 1/3 means. So what are the first 5 numbers? Remember, that's not the first one, that's the 0th one. First, I have to divide it by 3 to find out my first one would be 5. And if I divide 5 by 3, I need a calculator because it's a decimal. 5 divided by 3 is 1.6. If I divide that by 3, I get 0.55. If I divide that by 3, I get 0.185. And then if I divide that one by 3, I get 0.061. So those are the first 5 terms in this sequence.